Hi, I'm going to talk about blocks yet again. Yeah, I guess I just cannot stop flogging this dead horse, but there's some stuff about blocks and passing blocks around as method arguments that I didn't cover last time that I realized that I should probably have touched on. So let's get back to making more kitty cat apps because I know that's fun. Creating a new single view application, iOS application, using storyboards and using automatic reference counting. I'm going to go as quickly as possible here so that doesn't get incredibly boring for everyone that's been watching along. Like we did last time, we're going to find a image view. We're going to throw that onto our first storyboard. We're going to import our cat image. Let's see if I can do that this time. Import the cat image. Set the image view to the cat. Let's get a button on here. What? Okay, get rid of that button. And this one we called fade. And if we right click on the view controller.h file, make some connections here, control dragging over to our interface. We're going to call this outlet cat, and we're going to call this action fade. Remember to set the connection type to action. Then we're going to go to our implementation file and pretty much recreate what we had last time. We'll go with this block syntax that we know. It's a void return type. In here we're going to define the block, which starts with a caret, and we'll say fade, we'll call it fade cat, and it takes a void type. It takes void arguments. We're going to assign it a block body or implementation that simply sets the cat's alpha. It toggles the cat's alpha back and forth. So we will do self cat alpha equals self cat alpha is 1. How do I always do that? Then we want to set it to 0. Otherwise, we set it to 1. This has to be terminated with a colon. But anyway, UI view animate with duration. We want this guy up here. This is the most simple one. And animations in here, we can just put in our fade cat block. Okay. Yeah. I think that works. Let's give this a whirl. We'll fade the cat in and out. Okay, great. So that's fantastic. What I wanted to show you is that we could actually do something a little bit more interesting, and that would be to move this part into its own method, and we'll pass a block to it so that block will do different animations by passing in a block. Now, if you thought that the syntax looked weird last time, it's gonna get a little weirder. But let's just make a void method here, and we'll call this animate. And here's where it's going to get a little weird. All right, so this is the return, or this is the argument type, right? Just like we always do right here. And inside of here, we're going to say that we're going to take a block. So remember what this looks like, and it's going to have the same sort of signature as this block, which would just be void, the demarcation that it's actually a block, and then any arguments, which is also void. Now I know that looks strange, but it's really no different than what we've been doing up here, right? Except it's not named. You put just like we would normally do in any sort of definition. We have the name of the argument right there. So let's take this and move it here. So now what we can do is we can actually pass in, we can just pass our fade cat to our animate method. So check this out. Self animate. See, now we've got the block syntax there that it's expecting. So let's just toss in fade cat and see how this works. And boom, so it still works. So we're actually defining our block up here, and we're going to pass our block down here to this method that we made called animate, and it's just going to run our fade block. So that's pretty cool. It actually opens up some different things that we could do. Let's say that we want to do a different type of action. So let's define another action here. IV action, let's do rotate. So this is something. Let's call self animate, and in here all we need is the code to rotate the cat. So that would be self cat transform. And that is a CGA find transform rotate. Where is that guy? Transform rotate. And we want to rotate the cat. And this, we just have to remember, is mpi. And this needs to be terminated. So instead of actually creating a variable where we're going to store our animation, we're just gonna stick it directly in there with this with this block literal syntax. So the same thing, we're going to send a different block to our animate method, and it's going to do that. We probably shouldn't have called this fade. We'll call this block. So this is just going to execute any block that we send it now. So whether we're sending it a block that tells the image to fade, like we're doing here, or we're going to send it a message to rotate, like we're doing in the rotate method, it's just going to faithfully execute our block. Well, this is what I hope anyway. So let's make this available in the header file. And make our connections in the storyboard. I guess we're going to need another button. We'll call this guy rotate. Option click the view controller. Control click over to our rotate that we just defined in the header file. Make that connection, and I think we're good. Let's run that and see what we've done. Ensuring that fade still works, and it does. Now let's check rotate. Yay! Oh, I like the cat better that way. So hopefully this has helped you really cement what's cool about blocks, and that is the ability to create a function and call it within a method, or even send it to another method. So we're able to send discrete pieces of functionality to methods and have that be executed in that method, which is pretty darn cool. I hope that gives you some ideas, and I hope that I never have to make another screencast about blocks.